Hello, welcome back to Boy Problems. My name is Liz Plank, and today I am live from my bed. Yes, I am bed rotting. I feel overwhelmed today. I feel overwhelmed by both my personal and all of life. You know, when just all of it comes to a head at the very same time, like getting a notification on your phone that we're at war and then immediately getting a notification from your ex. That's what I experienced, and I'm unwell. I'm not doing good. When this happened, my friend Nick came over because he was visiting from out of town, and I literally could not form a sentence, and he helped me so much. Oh my God, he's calling. I swear.
Hey Liz, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm about to record my podcast. Do you want to come over?
Oh my God, I would totally love to, but I'm on my way to my friends in Altadena.
That seems less important.
Who's your guest today?
You.
It is less important, and I do have a session later. Otherwise, I would just...
Oh, Nick, you did give me really good advice about my breakup. What advice did you give me?
This is recorded, right? This is on your podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're phoning a friend.
I'm phoning a friend, except the friend phoned me.
I think the advice I gave you was the fact that he texted you the way that he did seemed a little bit less than genuine, and in terms of a real earnest attempt to rekindle things.
So what do you think it means when a guy does that?
I think it means that he's jumping the gun and he's not thinking things through, and he's acting on emotion impulsively.
Right.
And that's what that means.
So he's just panicking that I'm going to move on, but he's not actually ready to commit.
Exactly.
And why don't you think he's ready to commit? Because I'm not good enough?
Definitely not. The movie scripts are unfortunately right, and it actually doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
You know what? That's okay, because you're going to be okay.
Thanks. What do you think I could be doing better? Because we've dated. You know what's wrong with me. And not in a bad way. We all have things we need to work on.
I don't think there's really anything you can be doing better besides just you're thinking about it. You're going through the motions of it. And I think you just gotta try not to get ensnared in the freak out of settling and of not having each other. You know what I mean? It can pull you back. It's a very tempting thing to get pulled back in once, and you're a very sensitive person to the world and this shit, when countries decide to bomb and then we go, oh my God, we're gonna die on this planet together, at the end of Rogue One. It's a Star Wars reference. I don't know if you watched that.
I do.
But, so that sounds really romantic and fun, but it's also just jumping the gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really don't think that there's anything you need to be doing better besides just sticking to your gun. I thought your text was good, your text back. And the other thing I thought you did that was really good was that you took a moment to sit with it. And you were like, I'm not going to respond right away. You know, we just need to give ourselves the time in between emotions to just point at them and, sit back and be like, okay.
Right.
Here's how I'm feeling. We got to just kind of collect our thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of not so different from right after we got the news. And you're like, I got to post. I was like, no, maybe not.
Right.
Maybe we just got to chill.
Right.
Maybe we just got to chill for a second.
Right.
But relationships,
Nick
that's what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, Nick was talking about the war because the war was announced and then I received a text from my ex at the very same time. It was a very Maslow's needs situation of which one is a priority? All of them feel bad.
Have you written a piece about that? That seems like a really fun piece, writing about when global conflict happens, love, romantic priorities start to really take shape.
Well, there's a whole story from a war reporter that she would go to refugee camps and she would visit and talk to, young teenagers or young women who are dealing with, immense amounts of, hunger, violence. And she would be like, what's on your mind? What's going on? And she was like, well, I kind of have this crush on this guy in the camp and he hasn't come by my tent and he's been coming every night, but then last night he didn't come. And so and then at the end of the day, we're all concerned with, political and socio-economic circumstances that we're in, but we also just want love, and we want to know if our crush likes us back.
Yeah, that's kind of the end of the day. We don't really have the attention spans to just constantly be thinking about the whole entire general. I mean, that's probably the most human aspect of it. It's we're kind of we have to kind of at some point just live in our little worlds while also trying to connect with other little worlds.
I think having a lack of emotional safety can be just as and again, I think that's what I was there was so much uncertainty and confusion. And then when you're dealing with confusion on physical safety, it's also really stressful. But I think think both are really important. And you helped me feel both emotionally and physically safe when you came over and I was dealing with all of that. You're so sweet. You're such a good friend and I love you. And
as are you. I know you have my back.
Always.
Listen, I'm really glad you do because I got a slew of allegations tonight at approximately 9 p.m. So I need some like feminist, like
nuclear feminist energy. Got it.
You have the nuclear codes to end all my enemies.
Yeah, I love that kind of power. Okay, I love you, Nick.
All right. I love you too. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. I'm going through a breakup. I feel embarrassed to tell you because I started off this show feeling very hopeful and horny, as I put it, because I was ovulating. But I also was really hopeful about a person that I'd met. And I literally made my first monologue about him. I like reveled in the idea of finally having like a boyfriend this summer. I guess there's 2 times in the year where I really want to be in a relationship or like want a boyfriend as like the perfect accessory to go through that season. And it is Christmas or like the holidays, obviously, because it's so fun. Although when I think about it, it adds so much stress to be in a relationship because then you have to like go to like 4 different family functions. If their parents are divorced, you have like double the amount. But it is nice to have a boo. And in summer, I don't know why, because I guess hot girl summer, like you would think that it'd be more fun to be single in the summer, but it's so fun to like plan weekends and not be going on dates. I don't want to go on dates. I don't want to go on another date. Like no more first dates. I love the idea that like that was my last first date. And I love the idea that I'd met someone who was like normal and not, I don't know, I'd done a lot of work. I did Calling in the One. If there was anyone else who did Calling in the One, sound off in the comments. That's when you know you're going through it. If you've done The Artist's Way and that didn't work and you're doing Calling in the One, which is a book that women do when you want to call in your soulmate. And then I like thought I did. I literally, and I told him, I was like, I made a list on my notes app of just like who I wanted to bring into my life and exactly how he was. And then he like showed up and then it didn't work out. I need to be in a really secure relationship. And I basically have 2 modes. Like either I don't give a fuck and I'm like seeing a bunch of people and not like really like I'm not in many relationships at the same time, but I'm texting. I have my crushes. I have my 5 crush rule. Like I either have 5 crushes and they're rotating and I'm like having a good time, or I'm like zeroed in on one person. My 5 crush rule came after I realized that if I focus too much on a guy or on someone, I would go nuts. But then he made me like, so he, you know, said so many things that were very explicit about a future together. And so then I was like, okay, I can forget about everyone else. And that was the minute it was over. That's the minute I was toast. And I'm very sensitive. I'm a Pisces. And so I notice things. And sometimes I feel like I've overhealed. Like I actually genuinely wonder if dating got harder. Like dating in 2013, my whole theory that 2013 was the best year in human history comes from, yes, the fact that like we didn't have algorithms. Like algorithm was like a word you heard like once a year. There weren't algorithms in every part of your life, sort of like determining your decisions and whatever. You would post on Instagram. There weren't multiple it was one grid. You could only post one thing, a photo. That was it. There were so many things that were great about that time, but one of the things that I think we don't talk about is how great dating was in the 2010s. Like being in your 20s in the 2010s and like dating apps existing but not even being the primary way that people are meeting was incredible. Like dating apps were like extra, you know, like you met people at work. You went to work because people didn't work from home. People weren't like working like I am right now. This is where I do a lot of my work. That doesn't make sense. That we're not meant to be working remotely from our beds. But yeah, I would go to work. I would meet guys at work. I would meet guys in the elevators. They were working at another soap company or whatever the fuck. And then you'd be like, cool. Like, and then you'd see them at like Essen or fucking Sweet Green in line. And then you'd be like, hey, like you just would meet people. You'd go out. You weren't at your house all the time and you weren't on your phone nearly as much as we are now. And so people met through dating apps, but it wasn't like the main way. Tinder was sort of a thing, but it wasn't like the thing, you know? And we weren't all in therapy. Like we were just kind of raw dogging dating. Sure, it meant there were a lot of toxic things that would happen. I'm not saying hearts weren't broken. broken. Listen, I got my heart broken, but it wasn't as snatch your purse energy. Like, what do you want from me? Like, what are you going to do? What's your attachment style? What happened to you? What's your childhood trauma? How many, what kind of therapy are you in? Like, what are you? You know, like we weren't diagnosing each other. Like I was in a full-blown relationship with a narcissist, like never came out of my mouth. I didn't know. I just was like, oh, he doesn't want me to own a credit card. He gets mad every time something good happens in my life. That's weird. He doesn't want me to wear makeup. He gets insecure about that. That's strange. Let me just keep dating him and see. Let me just see this through. And it did end. And thank God. Yeah, we were just kind of experiencing life, you know, instead of being scared of experiencing life. Like I feel like so much of life, there's like this Alan Watts sound edit on my TikTok. I am a big Alan Watts girly. You can just listen to his podcast. Like there's some dudes that just like and gals who put up his stuff and you can just listen to his podcast. And he has a whole thing about like life was never meant to be perfect. Like life was never meant to be optimized. Like life was meant to be experienced. Happiness was meant to be experienced. Sadness was meant to be experienced. Like that's life. I feel like now it's part of like optimizing everything and not wanting to waste your time. And like dating is wasting your time, I get. Or maybe it's actually not. Like it's the opposite because you're getting to know other people and you're getting to know yourself. When I realized I was being fumbled, I was like, oh my God, I'm being fumbled. And I felt that I was just collateral damage in Regina George's self-discovery. My crush thanked me. It was like, oh yeah, I've learned these things now. And I was like, cool, I'm bruised and battered. And so I'm so glad you learned these things about yourself. But now where does that leave me? You know? And I feel like that's the experience for so many women who date men. I think it happens 100% with women dating women, non-binary people dating each other, gender, whatever. Like there's a whole spectrum and I'm not like minimizing the complexity of our experiences. But I do think that if you're a woman and you're dating men, you feel like you're like a lab rat. You know, you feel like you're like training wheels and unpaid, you know, it's like the whole like lover girl to unpaid therapist pipeline. And again, I'm not saying every time, but like if you love men and you care about men and you see the best in men, you are going to end up being very often, if you don't have boundaries, like an unpaid therapist for that man. That's what I kept coming back to. I was like, okay, well, he got all of this growth from being with me. Like, what's the growth that I get, right? Like as women, I think, and maybe this is just like a survival mechanism and I'm like delusional, but we women have to remember that we get stronger too, even when we feel that we've been used, you know, mistreated by men. Like you get stronger every time. That's what you get. And he gets to get stuff too, but like that's the rebrand. Like I'm not going to just be collateral damage. I'm going to get stronger from this. And again, like set boundaries. And that's why we broke up. I feel like there's something embarrassing about loving men. And I don't mean this as like an anti-man sentiment. I actually think we have it kind of wrong where, and I think that's why Taylor Swift is so popular. There's a lot of reasons, but I think one thing that she's really tapped into is just the way that so many women love with their full hearts and are fully all in. When you're all in, the risk is that you do get hurt. The reward is that you find love and you have this incredible connection. And I think that's what so many women, you know, here to do. And like, I think that's what makes women so amazing is that we are like very loving creatures. And again, whether it's nature or nurture or both, we're very much programmed. I know I am to want to give love, right? But then, yeah, so it feels embarrassing when you're all in and then the other person, often a man, is just like not ready or not ready to commit or not able to meet you where you're at or not able to go deep within themselves to the level that they need to go deep with you. And because we live in a patriarchy, like men, I think can't go as deep very often, even though I think they wish they could, you know, they just don't know how. And I feel like that's been my experience with so many guys. And so my big thing was like, this is shitty. I feel crappy. I feel disappointed, but I'm not going to add another layer to this of like judging myself for being a lover girl. Like I'm not going to judge myself for loving men. And by the way, like this is the part where that drives me crazy. We tell women that they're misandrous. Like, oh, you're such a, like, I get this all the time. I'm a man hater, right? Like, because I talk about masculinity, because I talk about men and I talk about patriarchy, when it's like, in fact, I love men more than you do. I believe in men. I'm like, that's my biggest problem, actually. It's not that I hate men, it's that I love them and I believe in them so much. And very often I like find myself seeing potential and seeing things in them that they don't even see for themselves or don't even want for themselves. And so like some of the women basically that again appear to be the most man-hating from a very like superficial perspective, I think are the ones that like loved men the most, but were just so hurt by not receiving that love back, or again not receiving that love back in a way that is the way that we would love. And yeah, I think so much of dating is like, yeah, there's so many risks. Like we often, you know, we talked about this with Scott Galloway, where he said that, you know, your chance of being unalived and on a date is like really low. Like it's not a big risk to go on a date if you're a woman to go on a date with a man. And it's like putting aside the risk of like abduction and kidnapping, which by the way does happen, and like date rape drugs, which is like a frequent occurrence. It's just the emotional damage. Like I've left dates crying. I had a date once. It was a phone date because we met on Raya and he lived in like Brazil, and he just didn't ask me a single question. And we talked for like an hour and a half. I hung up and I literally cried. And it's not because again, like, oh, I'm so in love with this guy. I didn't know this guy, but it's so painful for love to feel so one-sided so often. And again, it helps me to understand that like, this is patriarchy. Like it's not actually because he wasn't interested in me or like wanted to treat me badly. And I know that sounds like I'm excusing his behavior, but it actually helped me to just be like, oh, that's not about me, but it is hardful. In 2013, we dated and it was hard, but it was not this hard. I really don't have the answers, or I feel like I've given you some answers, hopefully, but I'm like also still going through it. So if you have advice about how to get through a breakup, definitely put them in the comments. What's your unhinged breakup advice? Yeah, I'm not talking like get a new hobby or go out and get on Hinge. Like I want true unhinged like breakup advice that helped you get through heartbreak. What is it? How do you brainwash yourself? Well, I do brainwash myself on a daily basis because I realized that my anxiety was already brainwashing me since birth. Like the amount of things that I've like believed about myself are insane. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to believe insane things about myself, like that no one will ever love me and like I'm the worst person on earth, I deserve to die. Like literally, like if you had suicidal trigger warning, but like if you've had suicidal ideations, like you know how unhinged, like what's coming in your head. Like I'm telling myself that it's better if I die. Like it's better for people that I love that I die. Like when it's happening, it feels very real. But once you have some distance from it, thank God, you're like, well, that's insane. So if I'm going to let, like if that level of insanity is going to be running through my head, like I might as well have a positive version of just as delusional thoughts going through my head. And so one thing I've been trying to do, I think I did actually accomplish this, which is like before when someone would be inconsistent, I would get sad and like them more and seek their like approval more. And now when someone is inconsistent, I like brainwashed myself into that giving me the ick. So like once there was this guy I was dating a couple years ago who like came on really strong, like I'll fly you to Switzerland, like fully, because there was a big snowstorm in New York City. And so he was like, I'll fly you, come to Switzerland. And I was like, maybe another time, but like, let's talk. And then we were talking. And all of a sudden he was like, oh yeah, I'm working, but I'll call you on Monday. And then like didn't call me. And I was like, strike one. I like wrote the text a bunch of times and then I finally rewrote it to a place that I was like, no, this is from a high value concept place. And I said, instead of saying, you know, I got sad when I didn't hear from you and like I said, in order for me to remain romantically interested in you, I need more consistency. And like immediately he went like, responded immediately, I'm so sorry, I was like really, and then he like, you know, work was crazy, whatever. It's like the stupidest excuse. But then once I said that, he like showed up and then like came to New York for a date and like things really changed. And so, yeah, I think brainwashing yourself is really one of the most important self-care practices in 2025. We're already being brainwashed. There's already propaganda about literally like the president being hot and like manly. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, if that kind of propaganda is going to be around, you can have propaganda that you're a good person. Like, you can have propaganda that like things will work out for you. You can have propaganda that tells you people are lucky to be in your presence and that you're an incredible human being. That's the propaganda I am encouraging in 2025. Brainwash yourself, be delusional. Okay, and this one's a little out there, but something that I do, and it's a little woo-woo, but whatever, stay with me. Basically, whatever happens in real life is less important than what happens in my head. In manifestation theory, they call it the 3D. And there was a video in my feed. This woman was like, how to make the 3D your bitch. And I was like, I'm locked in. What? Tell me more. Basically, whatever happens in real life is sort of just a result of your old beliefs, because it takes a second. It's like a printer. So it takes a second for the new things to happen from your new self-concept. And so whenever something bad would happen, I would just go like, oh, that doesn't matter because I'm in a new timeline. And that's the old timeline. Like if someone would say no to me for a pitch or whatever, like, I mean, I should do this with Regina George, basically. So Regina George is unsure and it's like, oh, that's from my old self-concept. Now I have hot and empowered and beautiful and like, not I believe, like I am amazing. So whatever is going to happen, does this make sense? Basically, I'm living in my head, but like not in a bad way. Because usually when you're living in your head, it's bad. It's like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm such a piece of shit, whatever. I'm living in my head where I like can conjure images or memories that make me feel good. And that's more important than whatever's happening in the real world. What happens when you do that is that you're no longer reliant on other people in order to feel good. Because I don't care what happens in the real world. It doesn't matter. What really matters is what's happening in my head. There's a really good manifestation creator. Her name is Courtney Show, who talks about this a lot. Like I got a fake wedding ring. It's here. With my lucky bitch ring from Litzy. I bought a fake wedding ring in Thailand. It was $3 because I was like, this is so deranged, but I don't care. I was like, oh, because I really want to be in a committed relationship. And for the last 5 years, it's been like complicated. Like basically I was in a lot of long-term relationships until 2020 and then like, or 2021. And then like things just like went sideways. And so now at this point, I'm like, I really want to be married. It's so cringy, but I want to be married. And so I was like, I'm married. So literally I'll like get up in the morning, I'll like put my wedding ring on and I'll walk around and I'll like be like, oh, my husband's like waiting for me at home. He's like making me a matcha. I'm going to tell him about my day. Like if you were inside my head, you'd be like, she's nuts. She's bananas. She has a mental illness, but I don't. Like I actually don't need to be married because I am. But anyway, things didn't work out. And then the war was announced. And then I got a text from Regina George, and I thankfully had Nick coming over, my really good friend, and he was so helpful. One big takeaway is when you're going through difficult times, I think especially breakup stuff, my friend Sophie said this to me. She was like, take the camera off of him and put it back on you. I don't know why that visual helped me so much. Maybe because I'm looking at cameras right now and I look at cameras all day because of my job, or I'm a visual person, but it was like, oh, like this is my video game and I'm the main character. But all of this time when I was obsessing, like he was the main character. And I was like, what does he want? Where is he going? What is he doing? And I'm like, what about me? NPC? Is that what you call he's an NPC. Everyone is an NPC and you're the main character. Okay. It's your video game. And anytime you're not happy in your life, usually it's because you're not treating it like it's you, like you're the hero and you're the main character. You're not a side character. You're not a supporting character. You're the main one and it's your life and you can do whatever you want. Literally, you don't have to wait for someone to feel differently about you or for the job or for your parents to tell you that they are sorry. Like you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Let's make this our best summer ever. It's going to be our best summer yet. Part of it is that I get to spend it with you. There was a whole talk about like only doing 6 episodes of the show because that was what our sponsor was able to do. And then we would take a break for the summer. And me and my producer James were like, no, we are spending our summer with you. There's no way we are being separated for the summer. I want this to be, look, it's starting off pretty rocky. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. A war is not what I envisioned for us, but let's see the positive spin. We haven't been drafted yet. We get to like sleep in our beds and do podcasts from our beds, and we get to go to the beach. So far, we haven't been bombed. There are some upsides, and it is during times like these that where things are dire and we get to be grateful for our Maslow's pyramid of needs. And there are a lot of people right now who don't have that. And that is the number one reason that this is awful. But let's be grateful for what we have and grateful that we have each other, because I'm so grateful I have you. Yeah, this is just the beginning of boy problems. Okay, this is a question from a man. Oh, I love these. Please, if you're a man listening, send us your boy problems. Okay, this one is from Chris. He's 33 years old. Okay, let's get into it. I just started dating a girl who has had terrible experiences with men, mostly emotional abuse, dating narcissists, gaslighting, but it also makes sex uncomfortable for her. She always seems to be fully dissociating whenever we get intimate. Just not there. No eye contact, doesn't like to communicate. It feels rushed and disconnected. I've asked her about it and she claims she doesn't realize she's doing it, but it's making me feel like she's not that into me, or perhaps isn't ready for physical intimacy yet. We've only been together for a few months, but are exclusive, but are really enjoying our time otherwise. It's just in bed there's a connection missing. What's the best way to work through this together without triggering her? That's such a good question. And for some reason it like gives me hope. If I was dating Chris, I would feel really glad that he was that committed to making me feel comfortable in bed, because I do think that that's not always something that men necessarily prioritize. I think that it's wonderful that, Chris, you are so concerned with how she feels in bed. I do think that you can't do this for her, though. Again, she might not be comfortable telling you the truth, but it seems like she doesn't even know what's happening. And I think it's super helpful that you're pointing it out to her. If we were talking about the stages, like she's in denial right now, or not denial, that assumes like there's somehow intent there, but she doesn't even know that she is disconnected. And that is so common, by the way. Like I've had that in so many relationships where I remember I was dating, I call this guy we were like Ross and Rachel. We like got back together so many times and God, and it was really loving and great, but also like kind of dysfunctional and difficult. Again, because I'm a Pisces and I'm traumatized or whatever, like hypersensitive. I just know, and my sister and I were just talking about this the other day, like because I had a parent with depression, I just know immediately when someone is not listening to me. I know when they are disconnected, and sometimes before they even know. And it's like a gift, but it's really a curse. And it seems like, Chris, you're very in touch with how she's feeling, and maybe you're more in touch with how she's feeling. And that's like also, again, if not to diagnose or anything, but if she is traumatized, like, the number one survival mechanism to get through trauma is to dissociate, right? Like, and again, it's not even on purpose, but probably dissociated from her body. And maybe she's used to being dissociated because she was with, guys who are so abusive. And so you definitely learn, your body just learns to sort of protect itself. So all this to say that, yeah, number one, I think it's so sweet that you're so concerned. Number two, like you cannot, unfortunately, like heal her. You can support her in her healing, right? Like basically like you can't be the crutch. If she has a broken foot, like you can bring her snacks, you can bring her and give her rides, you can be there by her side while she heals, but like you're not the crutch, you're the snacks, Chris. Like the best thing you can do is just reflect these things back to her and encourage her to want to address it. But if it gets to the point where it's too difficult for you, explaining that and being honest, there's no downside. I think there's a downside to staying in something that doesn't feel good for you. And maybe again, if you not pulling away again in a way that's like toxic, but if you're like, hey, it's actually, been difficult for me. If I feel like we're not connecting, it's really hard on me. Like make it about you, don't say like, I'm leaving you, or I can't be with you because, you're fucked up and you're disconnected, but say like, it's actually just like hard for me. So I'm here for you if you need support, but like, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna work. And like that might actually prompt her to go internal and to go into those difficult emotions and feelings that she's feeling that she's maybe clearly avoiding right now. I was seeing this woman, this therapist was like, I cannot tell you how many people are in therapy where like the wrong person is in therapy. So sweet that you're writing into boy problems, but it seems like she she should be the one, maybe not writing into a podcast. It seems pretty serious. Although you should write in for serious things, but obviously I'm not an expert and I can't diagnose or give people medical advice. But it seems like she needs support and she needs therapy. And like James, my producer, and I talk about this all the time. It's just like, there's so many people that I've dated that I'm like, please go to therapy. Please go to therapy. But unfortunately, you can lead a horse to therapy, but you can't make him go. You know, like that's just the way it is. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, this is also from a guy. I just turned 30 and I've never had a girlfriend before. I've been on the apps and have had some success meeting girls there, but nothing that sticks past a few weeks. I feel like all I do is work in music, which is cool at least, but I'm mostly surrounded by guys or the occasional female artist. In the instances I'm producing a girl I could be interested in, I feel like it's inappropriate to hit on her at job. She's pretty and in music, and I don't want to be another one of those guys who makes music uncomfortable for women. Cutie. We love that. But at the same time, I'm not sure how to meet anyone else because all I do is work. How do I meet women not on the apps and not through my job? Signed, 30 and thriving. Oh, I love this question. So first of all, okay, I have some thoughts. As someone who works all the time too, and so I'm like, you know, I need to take my own advice, but I would find hobbies. Sometimes I do feel like my life at certain points, like work would take up so much space. And then I used dating to like give me time off work, right? Like, so I would go on the apps and like seek sort of like reprieve from working and almost like use dating as a way to set a boundary with work that I couldn't set myself, right? So like I would go on dates in order to be allowed not to work. I don't know. It's a little weird. And I wonder the fact that work is such a big part of your life and you say all I do is work, it makes me wonder going into dating from a place of a little bit like a scarcity mentality, right? Like, which again is never good. And I've been there. Like, I want you to have fun. Like, I feel like that's your job right now. Like your job right now is not, and like I can give you advice about how to meet girls. Happy to do that. But I feel like your number one job right now is actually to take the focus off of girls and off the apps and off of work and onto you. And like 30 and thriving, what does 30 mean to you? Like, what do you want your life to look like? What do you like doing? And I would go out and do those things. And sure enough, you'll end up meeting people there. Again, I think it could be really small. Like, I want to start doing Pilates. Great way to meet women, by the way. There's always one guy and he's usually cute and he's working out. Hot girls go to Pilates, okay? Let me tell you that. So whether it's a small thing like going to a class, trying a new thing, and again, don't try it once, like go every Wednesday, right? Like doing things actually and going back at the same time every week is how you end up, again, not just meeting girls, but meeting people and like finding community outside of your phone, right? Or maybe look, you'll go to a fucking Pilates class and you'll meet another guy who's in the back with you. And then he'll be like, hey, do you want to go out to drinks? I have this, my best friend is just single and she's always talking about, oh my God, you're so her type. You should come out with us. Or again, just come out with us. And then when you're out, you meet a girl with, right? I mean, like you just got to like mix it up. You got to get out of your own like one little circle, right? Which is like work, which is great. And like maybe you will meet someone, but I think you not wanting to be creepy at work, thumbs up. I love it. And again, you might meet someone and it might be mutual, but I think like this is, yeah, you need to have fun. You need to have fun. Have a hot girl summer. And 30 is so young. I don't know. I feel like so many 30-year-olds now, they're like, they talk about being 30 like it blows my mind. I guess I probably talk that way too, but God, you're so young. Like you have so much time. And 30 is great because you're the youngest you'll ever be in your own demographic. So you're like a baby. You shouldn't compare yourself to people in your 20s because they're literally not in your bracket. Compare yourselves to people in their 30s and you'll be literally the baby of the group because you are. In terms of meeting girls in the real life, like I'm a proponent of it. I'm a big believer. We talked about it on this show, gave women specific advice about how to hit on a guy that they know wants to hit on them. Some of my advice was like, ask him a fucking question. Ask him any question. Also, this applies to anybody, anytime. And by the way, 30 and thriving, I would encourage you to go up to people of the same gender. Go up to people in general in public. And that requires not just being at work or on the apps, by the way. It requires going out to coffee shops, to bars, to Pilates classes, whatever it is, right? Go do your groceries. Whole Foods in Silver Lake on a Monday night, me and my roommate were like, this is better than Hinge. Like it was poppin'. Go places and just ask a question, literally any fucking question. Questions I've asked. Do you have a podcast? Literally, I asked that once because I just didn't have any. I was like, are you on a? And then they were like, no. And I was like, oh, cool. What do you do? Conversation started. Now we're in a conversation. A famous one is like asking if you're at a coffee shop, asking someone to watch your stuff. Pretend to have to go to the bathroom. Pretend not to know the Wi-Fi password. Whatever. Oh yeah, I was at a chain party. This is actually how I met like a major celebrity crush. He wasn't my celebrity crush. He was a lot of other women. He was like he's a very hot basketball player. I like knew his face because he's like whatever, but I didn't know it was him, or I didn't know his name basically. And I was with two friends and they're like, that's and I was like, oh, and then bumped into him. What did I say? It was like, oh yeah, it literally, you know, chain events have like food stands or whatever. And I just like, we were near a same food stand and he was like literally talking to other people. And I turned around, I was like, hey, do you know if the food here is good? We made out that night. We got drinks. I have his phone number. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. If you literally, which I think a lot of us are, if you're always on your phone, not always, and I don't mean to say I'm literally in that group. I'm literally rotting in bed right now, like surrounded by screens. If you're used to being on your phone, and if you're used to being on your phone while you're in public, right? Like anytime you're waiting in line and you're like this instead of like this, you know, and you're just chit chatting about whatever, it'll just be easier. And so, yeah, I feel like your challenge is to talk to a new person once a day. And it could just be dudes for the first week, because then like there's no fear of rejection, and then work your way up to a woman. Maybe you're not even really attracted to her. Maybe it's just a woman, you know, and you're just like having a conversation with her, but there's no stakes because you're not looking to like, you don't want her phone number. You don't need her phone number. And then work your way up to like a really hot one, and it'll be easy by then. Get rejected. Rejection is, again, coming back to Scott Galloway, rejection means you're succeeding. And if you're not being rejected, that's the number one issue. And if you're getting rejected, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Okay, our next boy problem is coming from India. Hello, I'm from India. I work in a small think tank in Jaipur, Rajasthan. I have had a crush on my senior for the past year and a half. I have liked him since he took my interview for the job. I am on my notice period and leaving my current job soon. Through some smart move, he and I started living together. What? Wait, okay. Last night, I confessed my feelings to him, and he recited a poem by Vikram Seth. Quote, all you who sleep tonight. Should we Google the poem so we can analyze it? What do I make of it? I am leaving from this place in 15 days and will not come back. What should I do? I'm obsessed with this. Okay, wait. So you're in India living with your boss that you just stopped working for, and you told him you had feelings for him and he read you a poem. What's the downside? The poem is vague. The poem is ambiguous. I don't even know if we need to read it. Yeah, the poem doesn't have any dead giveaways. There's a line that's like, no, you're not alone. The whole world shares your tears, some up for 2 nights or 1, and some for all their years. Is this like means like you're gonna be sad or you'll be together forever? Yeah, it's hard to tell. Okay, so he just read you a poem. Is there a reason why? Okay, well, look. I was once in love with my boss, okay? I had a full-blown like love affair with my boss at the first company that I worked at, and it can really be bad, right? Like, and by the way, this is different because you're not even working for him anymore, but it does add a lot of layers of complexity. There's like a hierarchy, there's a power dynamic, there's laws, like possibly, or internal policies against it. At the time, I remember asking my friend Rachel, and I was like, what? Oh my God, I was like 27 at the time. I was just a little baby. And I said, I don't know what to do. I'm so into him. And like, I was a pivotal hire, and it was a big deal if I left, basically, right? In terms of the business. And I think in terms of his own, you know, what he was building. For me, it felt light and fun, but for him, there were like just more stakes because he was the boss. All this to say that he might be ambiguous right now because he doesn't feel that he wants to exploit the power dynamic or potentially whatever, right? Do something wrong. But at the time, my friend Rachel said this to me, and it was really good advice. I was like, what do I do? I'm like so into him, but like there's so many dynamics here. And she said, only do it if you cannot not do it. Because she was like, it's complicated, it's messy. It would be better not to. Like, if you think this is just for fun, like go have fun somewhere else, right? And like there are other people out there. If you cannot not do it, if you're like, like, I can't stop thinking about this person, and like I see long-term potential, and like there's compatibility, and there's, you know, something like a real future that you can see, then I would do it. Then it's worth it. You know, it's worth whatever complicated potential, I don't know, consequences or ramifications come from it. And by the way, one of them might just be that he's like, I can't do this because it's, you know, it's not professional, and it's too difficult. So yeah, I would go for it. I love that you told him how you feel. I would just say, when you recited me a poem from Vikram Seth, what did that mean to you? How do you feel? And don't use poems, use your words. That's what I would say. I think this is exciting. You have 15 days, and this might be like a fun 15 days where you guys are just like going at it and have fun together, or it becomes more, but you can't know until you ask him how he feels. But yeah, it seems like you did your part. Now he needs to share what's going on with him, and then you'll write us back, and we'll take it from there. These were so great. I love hearing from you. I love reading your boy problems. Please keep sending them in, and I cannot stress this enough that there is no bad boy problem. There is just good boy problems waiting to be resolved and talked through. So whatever gender you are, whatever you're dealing with, whether it is small, really big, huge, or goofy and silly, we love them all. Please keep writing them in. The form is going to be on the notes of the episode. And by the way, if you are subscribed to Boy Problems and you are part of our community, can I ask you a little favor? As I often can experience because of the things that I talk about and the public stances that I take on certain issues, there are times where when I put out something new into the world, there are people who are not fans, who are haters, who will take time out of their precious day and their precious life to go and kind of ruin the things that I'm doing with negative reviews and like 0-star reviews to make our projects and our communities reach less people and more difficult to finance and more difficult to sustain. And so if you could go and give a review, a positive review on our Apple Podcast page or on Spotify, or leave a comment, that would mean so much, and it would help the show reach more people, and it would make me feel less sad when I look at our page because it was like kind of a bummer, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I love constructive feedback, but there's clearly a organized contingency of people who want to ruin our fun and ruin our slumber party, and I don't think we should let them. Please, if you have a minute, it would mean a lot to me if you left a review. Yeah, keep sending in your boy problems, keep leaving your beautiful comments, sharing the show. I feel so excited to our boy problem summer started. Yeah, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. Even though I'm in bed in sunglasses, I've been sad about my breakup. When I think about you, I feel like it'll all be okay. So we will see you next week. Bye.